Um, Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our group's conflict theory of education stratifications. We are group one. Um, my group have the members Vichias, me, Swanit, and Jaya. So I would like to introduce to our table content today, which is we have introductions, and we're going to go through the status groups, and then we go for struggle for advantage, education as status culture, test of conflict theory of educational uh, stratifications, education as mechanisms of occupational placements, and historical change. And the last one, we're going to conclude everything, the conclusions. So let's start our introduction. So basically here we want to introduce or just explain a brief only about uh, the societies of that we call like status groups that everyone is well aware of. So this part, we are going to talk about the basic unit society as a associational groups sharing some culture, and also this core such group is families and friends, but they may be extended to religious or educational or ethics communities. To put in a simple words, in general, they comprise all persons who share a sense of status equally based on the participation in common culture. So meaning to say, if I'm sharing the same religious with you, so there is a status between me and you. It's like if you're a monk, a nuns, or I am a followers or prayers. That is a briefly explains of our social status groups. So move on, we're going to go deeply understand about the um, status groups. So status groups is not prior determinations of number of status groups in a particular societies, nor can the degree to which there is a consensus on a ranks order amongst them be started in advance. These are not the matter of definition, but empirical vari vari variations, the cause of which are subjects of other developments of the complex theories of stratifications. Static group should be regarded as an ideal type without implications of necessary distinct boundaries. The concept remains useful even the cause where associational groupings and their status cultures are fluid and overlapping. So basically, status group is full of varieties, flexibilities, and also freedoms of choosing. That's all from my past introduction and status groups. So let's move on to another part from my member.
Next, you are going to hear about struggle for advantages. So struggle for advantages mean that you like willing to do anything to get the benefit. So as you know, people in society often compete for things such as money, power, or recognition. Not that they want all most of they can out of everything, but because there's only so much power and recognition, so that money come around. With owning all of those things, it helped them to feel like less or like avoid being looked down or controlled. And as you can see on our slide, the fight for money, power, and social standing mostly happens through different organizations like armies, companies, or religious groups. So, through history, this organization led by people from various social background, like they battle for like control, business success, or cultural dominance. Like this people who are in charge of like this organization, they hire or like force people or manipulate people to do what they want or manipulate others to carry out their wishes. The thing is that if the lower people stick together or get together based on their common goal to go against the organization organize organization elite, there might be a chance for them to win against them. But if they start to believe that the authority or the power that the higher people have given to them is the right thing, this might like lower their power to win. So the other thing is that usually the organizational elite pick new member from their own social group, trying to make sure even the power lower down agree with like the lower down agree with their values and follow them. When employee in a company from a group based on their background or belief, like they often like bring more people who are like them into their group. This has happened also in the in the America society, like black and white community. So what I'm trying to say here is that group may have conflict due to their different cultural or religious backgrounds. So next point, please. Next slide, please. So the next point is education as status group. So in education system, school isn't just to teach academic or technical knowledge, but to teach specific cultural norms and value. They also emphasis on teaching value, how you should talk, conversation material, how you should dress, and how you should behave in a certain situation. Education can also help certain group of people to keep their power in workplace. This means that when people ask for like a specific job or like specific educational background from one people, they are making sure that the people who get a job are the one who already fit in the culture of elite or the people who are already at the top. In short, some people or like some individual use like to keep use the education in as status group to keep their power in the workplace and to help them to like behave in a way that have to support them in their position or like their status in the workforce. So let's welcome the next presenter for the next point. Thank you so much.
So in my part, we're going to discuss about the test of the conflict theory of educational stratifications. So the general form of the conflict theory is supported by these three evidence. With the first one shows that in modern society, people from different classes or different ethnic background, they also tend to have different culture as well. And in the second evidence, they also shows that these group of people usually end up with different jobs within different company as well. And the last evidence, they shows that people that have the different job positions, they tend to fight or compete each other for the power or for the dominance. So this theory also want to understand specifically how education affects what kind of job the people will get or how important the educations will affect to people end up getting a job. Next slide, please. On this part, we will talk about educations as a mechanisms of occupational placement. So what school do? So school not only teach students about the subjects like math or chemistry or those core skills like listening and speaking, but they also try to teach students on to value on the way they act, the way they dress, or the way they things to adapt to a group of people in the society. And how employer use education. So when the employers trying to looking for the employees to work for their company, they look for people who fit with the kinds of culture of their company that they like. So for example, for high level jobs, they tend to look for people who act thing like they do, like they have the same standard or the same education so that they can work together well enough. So if it is the low level job, they want people who respect the culture of the company, or people who easier to control, or they would listen or follow what the employer want them to do. Next is how schools support this. So historically, schools have been set up by a group of wealthy people who have the power. So they create school to make sure that their children learn the right things to keep their power. So for public school, they try to teach students to respect the value of dominance. While in private school, for athletes or kids from wealthy family background, they tend to focus on keeping their culture to make it strong or even stronger among their own kids. Next slide, please. On this slide, we talk about how 309 California organizations prioritize the normative control emphasis over their employees. So the employers tend to like or prefer the applicants who have no criminal record, and also they value employees who stay with the company for a long time, and that they show maybe it shows the employee's commitment or trustworthiness as well. And organizations like finance, government, and professional services focus more on normative control, while manufacturing, constructions, and trade prioritize rewarding good work financially. So after all, education is not just about learning academic subjects, but it's also a way for certain group in society to teach or maintain their own cultural value, or to have a positions in the society. That's all from me, and I would love to give the floor to the next presenter.
Okay, hello everyone. This will be the final part, or we're almost at the end of our presentation. So the next time, and using the conflict theory and technical functional theory, here are some simple breakdown. So the first point, we'll talk about the demand of education. So, being well educated has been seen as a way of, getting ahead in life and achieving higher status or a better job. People have wanted education that leads to elite status. People want to get to the top 1%. And this demand has made certain types of schools more successful, Ivy League schools, and schools that have a university degree. So, and to our second point is the technical changes that happens. So the technical changes, as industry grow, they need more workers who could read and write, and over time, jobs require more advanced skills, which lead to more people seeking higher education. And moving on to the third point here, which is the changing of standards. So over time, the education needed for respectability has gone up. So before, in the past, you just need to, when education became really a thing, you just needed to finish elementary school, and it was enough for you to find a middle class status type of job. And I'm sure our parents will tell you too, in comparison to here in Cambodia, back then all you need was a diploma, or you didn't even need to pass the national exam to get a good paying job. and this also pairs with the economical changes that has happened in different type of countries and so on. For now, you might need to have like 10 college degree to even apply to get a high status job. That's an over exaggeration, but you get what I mean. And our fourth point, we'll be talking about the effects of elite jobs. So particularly in the US, the idea that anyone could get a high status job if they work hard enough led to a system where lots of people got educated. So as you can see how this goes. So how the value of education is showing you're part of the so the more people getting educated, meaning the value of education have to rise, and that the requirements to get elite status keeps growing. So that's the effects on the elite jobs. Our next point, we'll talk about the employers and education. So again, back to companies, where big companies start to require more education for their jobs to keep their high status. So, and then our last point is the spiral of requirements. As more jobs required high education, more people went to school to get these qualifications. This created a cycle where education requirements and achievement kept increasing. Back to how I was explaining how the elite job was. And the result is that the demand of education keeps going up, and it's likely that the requirements for jobs will continue to get higher. And this pattern is further driven by minority groups, seeking for better opportunities through education. And I think we're reaching the conclusion of our reading part 4 here. So to conclude, this text use conflict theory to explain why the growing need for higher education to get jobs in America. And it also talks about the actual skill needed for jobs have changed over time as well. A good way to understand and how important education is how it interacts with job skills. So one approach is to look at an organization as a whole and see how their need for education relates to the kind of work they do and the educational level of the people in charge. And another way is to look at individuals and see how education affects their changes to move up in jobs where the bosses come from different educational background. And looking at how this works in different countries can also help give us a new insight. And by doing this kind of detailed analysis, we can better understand how the education role in society and job markets change over time. And it would help us delegate the various educational standards and needs to the modernizing society. And to briefly explain a bit, just if we miss a little, the theory of stratification at the beginning of our presentation, it refers to the grouping of people into status. So for example, you're a male, your height, right? Your height, your class, your age, or not your height, your class, your age, or your ethnicity. So I think this will be the ending of our presentation. Thank you guys for paying attention. Any further question, you can ask our current members that is standing right in front of you in class right now. Hi guys, hi. Okay, that's weird.